It feels quaint that a few weeks ago, even people were wondering, is Donald Trump still in control of the Republican Party? I think we learned from CPAC, from his speech, and from the reaction of many Republican senators, especially over the last 2 months or however long it's been since he's been gone, that he is, in fact, still at the levers of control in this party.
There's no doubt about it. He's way more powerful than Mitch McConnell, than Karl Rove, than the Wall Street Journal editorial page. That's just the reality of the party right now. I don't even think there's that big of a division. That's probably 60 to 70% of the party is with Trump. It's why most House Republicans are begging to come to Mar-a-Lago. It's why Kevin McCarthy does everything he can to placate Donald Trump. He knows that that's where the base of the party is. When you go inside of the polls, when you see how people think about him, a lot of Republicans want him to run again, would vote for him again, think he should be president now, think the election was fixed. All the stuff that you hear from Donald Trump resonates with most Republicans. That's just the reality. And while a lot of Washington Republicans cheer on Mitch McConnell and love the Wall Street Journal editorial page, it's just kind of the Republican Party that used to be. It's not the Republican Party that is today. And yes, maybe it'll return one day, but I don't think it will, actually, because if you look at the direction of the party, even when Trump burns off, he's really moved it from a party that was aimed at the Wall Street Journal readership to much more a party aimed at like blue-collar workers across the board. If you look at the rhetoric from Marco Rubio, if you look at the rhetoric from Kevin McCarthy, you have everyone now talking about a working-class party as opposed to a Wall Street party. That's a radical shift, and it was a shift that was done by Donald Trump. And so as long as he's around, he's going to have a bigger megaphone. He's going to have, I think, more authority than the Journal and then Mitch McConnell. It's why Mitch McConnell, by the way, has really cooled it in terms of his rhetoric about Donald Trump. He sees the backlash. And Donald Trump wasn't wrong. If you look at the polls, Mitch McConnell's not a terribly popular politician right now, including among Republicans. And Donald Trump can take some credit for that because he's been sort of vicious in his attacking of him.
Let's remember, of course, that Mitch McConnell denounced Donald Trump from the floor of the Senate the day that Trump was acquitted in his second impeachment trial, only to a few weeks later suggest that if Trump was the party's nominee in 2024, he would support him again. So, Jim, you know, there was a moment there of some silence. Trump was relatively quiet, but once his trial ended, he's back out there. No tweets, but press releases. He started doing some media appearances, obviously the big CPAC speech. What are you hearing? What's the reporting you guys have as to what his next steps are going to be? There's some skepticism that he will have the discipline to form an actual sort of political apparatus to go after Republicans in primaries that he feels were disloyal to him. Is this just going to be him spouting off in press releases, start doing more interviews? How's he actually going to do this? How's he going to impact the Republican Party and remain relevant as this kingmaker as he eyes towards a moment where he will have to make a decision about 2024?
Yeah. Jonathan, I think you nailed it. Like, he's not, like, his weakness, like one of his big weaknesses and why he didn't even do more with his presidency is he's not an organizational guy. He's not thinking long-term strategy. It's all improvisation. And so, yes, he wants to lord over the Republican Party, but the idea that he would create an alternative party would require way too many resources and way too much focus to actually pull off. I think the much more likely scenario when you talk to people around him is that he does what you see today, that he'll try to find platforms, whether it's Fox News, whether it's Parler, whatever he ends up using with time to sort of weigh in and really kind of heckle Republicans who have turned on him, to air the grievances he has about different Republicans who have turned on him. My guess is he will endorse candidates, mainly to be a pain to those Republicans who are against him. Look at what he talks about in these press releases. He's obsessed with Liz Cheney. He's obsessed with Mitch McConnell. He's obsessed with anyone who voted for impeachment. He's just obsessed with anybody who is a Republican who doesn't love him. And so he'll heckle them. I think he'll probably raise money for them. It won't be that organized. But make no mistake, if he sits there on the sidelines, does what he's doing, he probably gets stronger, not weaker, among Republicans as you drift away from January 6th. And if he were to decide to run, which I think he may run, I know a lot of people think he won't and that he's just doing this to stay in the game. Like, he's so addicted to the attention, so addicted to being in the game, knows he has this massive base of support. I would not be surprised at all if he runs again. And he knows deep down he'd be foolish to not at least pretend he's going to run again to the very end, because it gives him the power of us talking about it and other people talking about it.